This is the Finesse Media Podcast.
And we're going to get right into it. Welcome back to another episode of the Finesse Media Podcast. And on this episode, I have the honor of speaking with the two-time winning champion of CHOP on the Food Network's chef, Camerron Dangerfield. Man, this was a great conversation, and you don't want to miss it. Shout out to the Alabama A&M Bulldogs as being our HBCU of the week. And also, Chef Cameron's alma mater. Let's go. Let's get into it, man. So welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Finesse Media Podcast, Season 6. I'm your host, Ken Finesse Media. And as I mentioned to you each and every week, I bring you something brand new. And this week, I got a whole party up in here, man. Let me tell you, we about to start this thing off. We've been kicking this whole month off, talking to people that's finessing the game, particularly Black folks. It's Black History Month. And we're keeping it rolling with our guests tonight. But before we introduce the guest, I got my co-host joining me tonight, my girl from the Yard, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, representing Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. She called herself Marilyn Bryant. I've been calling her Socks for almost 20 years. But welcome to the podcast. This is my guest co-host Marilyn. What's up, girl?
Hey, Socks. Hey, how y'all doing tonight? Yes, I'm a proud UAPB alum, and as y'all see, a proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority incorporated. How y'all doing?
We share that Sigma love, and we don't do nothing else too. But we're keeping this thing rolling with the HBCU of the week is Alabama A&M, and our guest tonight is also the alumni from the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, holding it down on the heel. You see him already rocking it out. He came to dress for the party, and he's ready to do it. Listen, this guy's a chef. Let me tell you who this guy is. Chef Cameron is a two-time Food Network champion. His hometown favorite chef. He's boasts his career by making delicious food. His lifestyle as an entrepreneur, and next year Cam has stated to have grand opening of his newest project, Almost Vegan. It's an upscale eatery and a lounge in the heart of downtown Cincinnati, Ohio. With a return to Chicago chef, Cam plans to offer culinary experiences that Chicago has never seen while bruising the gap with the culinary program of his alma mater, Richtown High School 227. Man, welcome to the podcast for the first time. I'm going to probably butcher that, but I'll tell you, we're going to chop it up with the two-time chef. You said it, and I already showed it to you on the Food Network channel from CHOP, and I've already seen him on Sister Circle each and every week, too. Welcome to the podcast, my bro, Cameron Dangerfield. What's going on, bro?
What's up, guys? It's such a pleasure to be here, Ken, Maryland. I'm just glad to be amongst some good people, okay? How y'all doing today?
Man, great. Good. Thank you for asking.
It's always a blessing, you know.
Listen, I'm full. I had to get something to eat because I saw you was eating Hurl's chicken.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, I was having an iffy day. You know, after Tuesday, the rest of the week for me, you know, now working as a culinary educator, it's a blur, and I just needed to pick me up. And I started to see me a large gizzard fried hard, you know, put my sauce on the side so it don't get soggy by the time I get home. And it brightened my day. And now we're here. Now I have the opportunity to, you know, represent the illustrious Alabama A&M University, you know, on Normal Hill, you know, to be amongst, you know, our little cousins, UAPB. It feels so good.
Okay. How was that experience like? Because as I mentioned, our HBCU of the week, Alabama A&M. What was that experience like?
It was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had. I can't even fathom how to even put it in a sentence. It was life-changing. It was culture-changing. It was a culture shock for me, you know, growing up in the Midwest and, you know, transitioning to the South and understanding what that real kind of experience to be around so many African Americans, so many Black, so many brown people who all have one goal, and that is to matriculate in life to a point to where we are better than our yesterdays. We are those dreams and those prayers that our grandmothers and our great grandmothers and our prayer warriors were. So to be honest, I took Alabama A&M by the horns and I let it just ride. I let it do everything that it possibly can. And it has created an avenue that I have been able to be in position to receive every dream, every opportunity, every goal. I mean, literally every level that I have been prepared. And it's really, you know, because of the support, the education, the system, because everything works on the system, and Alabama A&M University is doing their thing down in Normal, Alabama. So it's an experience that I would tell someone, even if you only get to try it for 5 minutes, it'll be the best 5 minutes of your life.
How did it happen? Because for me, I came on a band scholarship. How did it happen for you? And like you said, a culture
Funny
shock. I mean,
story.
yeah.
Very funny story. I graduated top of my class in high school and I was done. I wanted to go to drama school in New York to study like TV and Broadway. And long story short,
No,
my
not you.
no, yes, long story short, my guidance counselor from high school was an alumni of Alabama A&M, and she had a very close relationship with my mom. And one day I just came home from school and they found out that I denied like all of my scholarships, and I was technically like sneaking away to New York. I was telling them I was going to Alabama, but I was really going to get on a plane to go to New York. And they found out about my plans and they said, "You're not going to ruin your life, black man. We're going to put you in position to where, you have a great foundation, and whatever dream you want to be on TV, you want to make people laugh, you want to entertain." My grandmother said that God is telling me that this is where you need to be and you will find that and you won't be a number. And that's exactly how I got to Alabama A&M. It was really honestly just my fate, because not one time throughout high school did I ever mention A&M. Did I ever even think that I would go to Alabama? I thought that after Chicago, I could only go to New York or Los Angeles or Tokyo, and those would be the places that would fulfill who I wanted to be as an adult. But God said, no, I have a sweet, warm place for you down in Huntsville, Alabama, and
Yeah.
the rest is history.
Yeah, yeah, and like as you say, the rest is history because your work continues. I saw you in Atlanta. You're sitting here on
Mm.
Sister Circle. I mean, we'll talk
Yes,
about your two-time stat on Chop on the Food Network, but I saw you on 10G TV with Sister
yes.
Circle. What was that experience like? How was that working with Selena and Trina Braxton? Shout out to those ladies that are also friends to the show, but just being on set. I mean, you were
Yeah.
there. I think every time I turned on the TV, bro, you were in the kitchen cooking.
So, for me, and I'm not sure how far you traveled, to school, Maryland. Once I graduated from A&M, I was so indoctrinated into that Black culture, that rich culture of seeing so many successful people who looked like me that, coming from Chicago, Atlanta was really the only place to go, especially when I graduated. That sweet area between like 2000 and what was that? Oh, 2016, 2017 is when that Black Hollywood in Atlanta was really brewing. That's when that that
Yeah.
that that kettle on top of that stove was really brewing, as far as like the new culture emerging. And to be honest, that opportunity came out of nowhere. I graduated from A&M. I was working as a product analyst for Pfizer. And I was still working in my field, because people don't know I graduated with a finance degree and I studied business at A&M. So I got an opportunity one day where, I was hitting up, Selena, because I knew she was from Chicago, and I knew I wanted to do culinary entertainment. Couldn't get her to, respond. I was hitting up all the other hosts, couldn't get anyone to respond. And there's a show called Atlanta and Company that shot in the same studio as Sister Circle, and they had like a spotlight talent in Atlanta of the week. And I performed. I did a cooking demonstration for National Peanut Butter Day, and literally I could see behind me all of the hosts from Sister Circle, like literally
Who is
like,
that?
and it's like, who is this? Not
Yeah.
only like this chef that's talented,
Hmm.
but who's this Black guy that speaks
Yeah.
so eloquently, that
Hmm.
looks well behind the camera? We need him on that show. And literally before I could even get all of my groceries off set, the producers are already saying, the girls, they want you. The girls want to see if you have an opportunity. And
That's
literally
dope.
the next day, they had a chef cancel on Sister Circle, and they said, can you get here in an hour? I left my laptop open, closed all my client deliverables for the day, and I was on my way to Kroger and to the studio. And from there, it was all she wrote. Those
Dope.
relationships were relationships that you build, that you hold on,
For sure.
for life. Selena, Rashawn, Quad, Trina Braxton, I have had intimate relationships with all of them. I've cooked in their homes for their families. I've traveled with them. And you built that network, not only being colleagues and coworkers on the show, but you show that, I guess, that repayment for the things that
Yeah.
people have helped you with in life, for those ladies to be where they are. I can definitely say that as a young Black man, as an HBCU graduate, they did every single thing in their power to, set me up for success and what I wanted to do in Atlanta.
That's what's up.
A
That's what's
lot of
up.
people don't understand the importance of networking. You just said that you were reaching out, but yeah, you got into the right place in the right time,
Yeah.
and they sought after you, and you were able to build that network. For those who are watching, the future HBCU graduates that are watching, how important is increasing your network?
So important. And I tell people that all the time. And we hear it because we're in this lane. Your net worth oftentimes is built from your network. And but the biggest misconception that I like to kind of clear up as far as how I use my network, to build to be in the places that I am, is I don't look at network as something that goes from the bottom to the top. I look at network as a way that I can bring things in together, and then we go up. We either go up or we go down together. Either way, I have support on both sides of me. So I network across. I network with the people who I can reach the quickest, because the more people that I reach in my close vicinity, then now I am connected to those people who they are connected to. Then the people who they are connected to are connected. And now we are all connected this way, opposed to me crawling and feeling like I have to pull the person that's right above me down in order for me to have a spot. So it's not always about trying to network with the biggest CEO, or network with the most wealthy CEO, or network with the most well-known podcaster. Sometimes we need to network and we need to go, across this sphere, opposed to going up and down.
Absolutely. No, I like that. That's spot on. And that's spoken from an HBC alumni. And I'll tell you, people, I mean, some of the best in your top executives you'll find are alumni from HBCU. So that was not even the direction, but this is just what happens when you get onto that soapbox, really. But Marilyn, you had the next question. Go ahead.
So I'm a grandma's baby too. And we love our grandma's recipes. So what was it that made you take those recipes from your grandmother and add that unique Southern twist to your meals?
So for me, I'm the youngest of 9. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and
Wait,
most
it's
of our
9
grandmothers,
siblings on your.
yes, yes.
Wow.
Most of
No,
our
wow.
grandparents are from Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas. So even though we grew up in the Midwest, the food that we was raised on was still first generation, in the Midwest, Southern traditional dishes. But for me, I've always been a step ahead of the game. My grandmother used to always say, "You're too smart for your own good." So as a kid, I enjoyed learning and cooking all of these traditional recipes, but I was always the kid that questioned, well, if you put that in there, what would it taste like if you tried this? What would it taste like if you didn't fry that for so long, but you fried it and then maybe we finish it off in the oven? So for me, as far as incorporating those Southern values, love it. I mean, of course, all of our favorite foods, baked macaroni, smothered turkey wings, dirty rice, jambalaya. I mean, just across the diaspora of all kinds of foods that are true to African Americans. I just wanted to be able to offer that to my clients and to whatever audience I was preparing for, but giving them a taste of the world that's outside of what we're used to. It's not, we don't always have to do everything exactly how it is. And every tradition that was created doesn't always necessarily have to be followed to the T, because we can broaden our horizons. We can broaden our taste palette, as a community, if we can still offer those Southern traditions, but adding an extra flair to them.
Love is always in the air with Chef Cam. Quick dinner party setup, hors d'oeuvres, crab stuffed shrimp, bruschetta, balsamic glaze over crostini. We got smoked salmon, whipped ricotta, fresh dill, seared New York strip steak, guys, halibut and salmon, Stitcher's green beans, rainbow carrots, Brussels sprouts, and home-style mash.
Yeah, man. I think what the cool thing about Chicago, and I may stay on that soapbox, but I'll try not to. I love the food. Like here in Dallas, where I'm at, man, it's so hard to find like good food.
That's why I'm staying in Houston.
Listen, what I say about Chicago.
I just moved from Dallas and I ran.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful city, absolutely gorgeous. The food was it was trash.
It's horrible.
Basura.
Your fellow culinary brother, Keith Lee, he was recently in Dallas and he gave horrible reviews everywhere he went.
I'm like, why would you never end up going to Dallas? I would have read you went to Scottsdale, Arizona, or Phoenix or something before I told you.
He could have went to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, had a good time. St. Louis, somewhere, like what?
But we have I think to me the best Chinese food, soul food, barbecue. I mean, all across the board.
I tell people that because they don't realize, and I didn't realize until I left Chicago and went, to the South, that we have one of the most segregated cities in the country. We have these neighborhoods and these clusters of cultures and ethnicities that still thrive as if they are in their native lands. So they haven't really lost their sauce. So all
Mm-hmm.
of their food still tastes true and authentic because they live in these tight-knit, close communities, but they open up their cuisine to everybody. And we
Mm-hmm.
live for it. We love
Yeah.
it. Like when I tell people, y'all finna go to Jewtown and
I
get
was
a
about to
Polish,
say,
they're
look,
like, did you just say the town where the Jews are? I'm like, I don't even know what that really means. All I know is
right.
I'm going to Jewtown and I'm
It's
going
a
to get a Polish, you
location.
know? Or I'm going to Chinatown and I'm getting Chinese food. So people
Yeah.
like, so you actually going to a town called yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
kind of how it is in Chicago.
No, I mean Chicago food is certainly good, but you continue to bring the Chicago flavor. Let's talk about it, man. As being the two-time champion on Chop on the Food Network. I mean,
So, whose dish is on the chopping block?
Oh my God. Oh my God. They better not go to commercial. Oh, they going to commercial.
what was that like? I mean, that must have been a remarkable achievement. I mean,
Yes.
to win this, what challenges did you face? Well, I mean, first of all, let's just take it back before you answer me the challenges you face. I mean, two-time is no feat. But listen, how did you kind of get introduced to that show? How did that all happen?
To be honest, all through positive relationships that you build. Because every opportunity that I have ever gotten to do from television was literally almost just dropped in my lap. After I sent all of those messages, you know, to Sister Circle, and I never got a reply back, it kind of
Mhm.
gave, I don't know, it kind of dampened my ability to want to ask people for help. So, you know, in my lifetime, God just so happened to bless me that the just be based off of great performance, you know, being easy to work with, you know, being great and a master at your craft, those opportunities come. But for me, when you speak about, you know, those peaks, there's also a lot of valleys that a lot of people don't talk about because there isn't a whole lot of space in culinary entertainment for a face like mine. There isn't a
Mhm.
whole lot of spaces in culinary TV for on-screen talent who has hair like mine or who speaks properly but also uses a little bit of ebonic eloquence, you know, because that's how I resonate with myself and with my audience. There aren't a whole lot of spaces like that. So you could imagine, even as great as I am in as many places and as much as the trailblazer as I have been, even trying to acquire those places on Network before you even begin to film is a
Mhm.
challenge. So just being there, it's not being super excited about somebody else, you know, setting a table for me and me having a chair at their table. But I think about it in the instance of as long as I continue to have these opportunities, let it be Food Network, let it be Fox, let it be Bravo, it's creating a table for other people who look like me, who sound like me, who have dreams like me. So literally everything else is X'd out. You know, so for me, it's not even a feeling of vanity of, oh, I'm on TV. You know, I knew
Mhm.
at the age of 10 that I would be on TV. I wanted to go to school for film because I always knew that I had a way of conveying a message that I felt like I could connect with people even as a child. That now, every time I get that opportunity to do it, I only think about I have to be as great as possible, not just for me, but because God has given me an assignment to be the face or to begin to create the table for the next generation to come. Because even at my tender age of 31, I'm not even thinking about how I can become greater or what can make my career greater. God has blessed me with so much that it's enough that could last me for a lifetime. What can I do right now? How can I be in as many spaces that I can create those spaces for the generation to come?
With so just like you said, it's not a lot of spaces for those different opportunities, right? So how do you balance, okay, because you know you can't act the same everywhere you go, right?
Yes.
So how do you balance staying true to yourself, who you are, staying true to your roots, your style of cooking, everything about you in these diverse places and keeping it true to you?
Mhm.
I really honestly go back to one thing my mom used to always say: all money ain't good money. And the
Mhm.
difference between me and a lot of other chefs, a lot of other people is I've never had and this is, I'm not all the way proud of this, but I am because it's a part of my story. I've never printed a business card. I've never printed a booking flyer. I've never had a website. So for me, with those things, I wanted to be able to choose the places that I share my energy. I wanted to be able to choose the places that God intended for his light to shine because especially in culinary entertainment, you have to understand how many people will sell their souls. They will sell their integrity. They will sell away every single thing for 15 minutes of fame. And it's so much more important for me. And oftentimes, because people see the glamorous life of what it is to travel with celebrity clients and to be on TV sets, that they think we automatically have this Hollywood mindset, but that's not who I am. I know that I'm a servant leader. I know that God has presented me to be in front of people, to be a vessel for him. So I have to stay true to myself. If I can't show up as Camerron, if I can't cook in the style that I want, if I can't cook in the attire that I want, if I can't use every opportunity to be an advocate for my historically Black college and university. And if you notice, anytime that I have ever done anything on television, Alabama A&M University has been spoken every single time and in every article. And it's something that is mandatory, a mandatory speaking point, because I need people and these students in these next generations to see me, who I am, and my true authentic self, so that they can say, I don't have to question who I am, and I don't have to apologize for looking the way I look, talking the way I talk, and I deserve that same opportunity as you.
Yeah. And you're very consistent in that Cameron, as you mentioned, staying true to your roots, because you're going back doing it at Rich, Central. It's just where you graduated from. So you're back, foot's on the ground, serving food, cooking, catering, being booked there at your alma mater. Like, what does that feel like to even go back further beyond your college? Because you've done things at Alabama A&M as well.
Yes.
Shout out to them. I know they probably like, wait, you done some stuff over here too.
Yes.
But at your high school, I mean, how does that feel going back to not really where it started, but where you got your foot?
It's really surreal for me, because I never thought that I would ever be in an education role, let alone going back to my high school and doing it. Like, who really wants to go back there and work? However, I just reached a level in my life where I began to walk in purpose. And when you walk in purpose, life feels so much easier. Life feels a lot lighter. So being able to go back into a community and serve, and it be that same community that served me so much, that prepared me so much for life. I still get to see, my English teachers, my business teachers. I get to see my old coaches. I get to walk those same halls and be a light for them. Because as education and public education is changing, one thing people don't realize is very difficult for these seasoned professionals to be as great at their jobs for people who don't speak the same language that they do. And this generation of high schoolers is almost like being in a foreign land. And even for me, and I still feel like, I'm a spring chicken. I don't think I'm an age 10 just yet. So even for me, I found it a little bit difficult, having that translation, but it's rewarding every day. And I just had like a aha moment today that almost brought me to tears, because I was able to get through to a student who hasn't said a word in class since October. And my student came in today with his binder and his bandanas and said, Chef, I passed the test. I'm ready to cook. And for me, I did not expect that. I'd expected for him to slide throughout the rest of the semester, because this is really honestly an elective course. But I felt an aha moment today. And I told myself that if I wasn't able to get through to another student, the fact that I saw this transition and this young man's life change just within these last few months, it was one of the most rewarding moments. And it compared to nothing that I had done in the Hollywood scene, because this is real life gratification. This is real life work. This is actually making an active change in your immediate community. And I'm realizing that as I grow, I don't know if I'm turning into my granddad or my grandmother, but as I grow, those things become way more important to me than the vanities of the world.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. I said something earlier, and before I go into what I said earlier, I do want to correct myself. I said Rich Central. The high school is Rich Township.
Yes.
So I do want to correct that.
It's okay. I still love Rich Central. I'm still an Olympian to the day I die.
Because Rich Central is a high school somewhere in Chicago,
yes.
I believe.
It was a high school. They're closed down now. All of the Riches combined to become Rich Township.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it's technically, it's it's technically still the same school. Yeah. So
Okay,
you were
okay, cool.
right. Yeah.
I went to Harper on 65th and Wood, so shout out to
Okay.
the South
Okay.
Side. Shout out to Inglewood. So
We
that's where I
lived in that
went.
area for a little while. We lived on 71st and Harvard for about 2 years when I was
Okay,
growing up.
okay.
I think
I
that's
know.
over in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's not too far away from Halsted. I know exactly where you are, or what that location was. No, so I'm South Side all day. But I posted something early on Facebook saying, to me, the judge of a character, and I've always said this really, is to measure, I guess, the judgment of a character is what you can do for someone else that doesn't owe you a thing. That is very easy for me to just like, that's the formula for me. So it's kind of like, hey, what can you do for others? And that gratification that you get. And Cat Williams even said something like this during the interview. It's really just doing it. He donated to Melba Moore Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and they asked him, hey, why did you do it? And he said he just kind of realized, hey, you put in stuff, it's like a deposit, right? With life, you put in, and not with intention to get things back, but you just put things in. You just do things for people, whether they owe you, but it's for those kinds of people. I would say it's so gratifying to do it when they don't owe you anything, and that for me is a real good judgment of a character. Many other things, but just going back, I'm sure that feels like that for you, being on the boots on ground for elementary school or high school and even a college that you attended, and you're able to go back and do something. That's super fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Marilyn, you have the next question.
Yes, so I have some things that I can only speak about vaguely, but I do have some things that I can speak about a little bit more in specific. And we'll get with my latest project, Almost Vegan. I'm a part of an amazing team outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, and we are opening up the first upscale vegan eatery and lounge in Cincinnati, Ohio, in very close proximity to the Bengal Stadium. And I am, supporting my partners who are also two African American entrepreneurs, African American business owners, and we're bringing something to the community that is going to serve us in ways that are traditional that we love as upscale food, but also offering something that has a little bit of health and wellness forward while still being able to step out in your nice garments, put on your little threads and still have a good time. But we want to be able to offer that for, the traditional eaters and also our vegan eatery. And then too, it's a need for it. The Midwest is really falling behind when it comes to the market for vegan and vegetarian eateries. So I just wanted to be able to be a part of a project like that and bring it. And it's going to be something super, super dope because there's nothing like it in the market. It's nothing like the menu that I've created and curated. It's going to be I believe it's going to be something that's going to be talked about all across, our culture, because it's really the first of its kind. But I'm also celebrating my 10-year anniversary of Cooking with Cam this year in September. So you guys will definitely see a lot of literature and graphics, building up as the years coming. But yes, it'll be 10 years since I officially, sold my first plate at Alabama A&M University. And a lot of people don't realize that that's where my start came from, was turning my on-campus dormitory into the Male Cafe. And I was trapping out of the room selling chicken wing plates. And now it has
Sure,
grown,
HBCU
to
style.
becoming
Yeah, if you wasn't a customer,
award-winning chef. No, but for real, you know how it is. Your buddy down the hall,
no, that's
cutting
what I was gonna
hair.
say. You
got the
either
girl
was
on the other
the
side of
dealer
campus. She
or
doing lashes. She doing sewing. Y'all know how you can get everything done. Okay, $5.
Yeah, no, that's the cool thing about. I'm sure every college kind of has that, but it's something different about HBCU. The people down there cooking that, and this guy can be from Louisiana, and that person can be from where they are, and they're cooking stuff from maybe where they're from. So no, I love it, man. But listen, each and every week I'm doing this also, Cam. Before I get you up out of here, I'm digging through my guest Vanessa's social media page, and I'm looking at some videos or maybe a photo that you posted, or maybe a status that you posted, and I'm like, man, what is this? And so I'm bringing it to you, and I want you to tell me and my viewers, what was this about?
Okay.
He's like, wait a minute. I done post 16,000 photos, Ken.
Okay.
And he done turned the camera off.
He had to turn the camera off on that one.
I didn't mean to. I was just trying to figure out, where do I see it at? Okay, I'm ready.
No. But listen, I'm searching through your social media, and I found this photo, and I want you to elaborate on it. Here we go.
Oh wow. Okay.
What
So
y'all doing, man?
that
See, we talked
that
about food, but you
is
getting into some acting
oh
too,
my
bro.
God.
What's
That
going
is
on in
one
this photo
of
with Tracy Ellis Ross, the
and I'm gonna
Tracy
tell
Ellis Ross?
y'all that was such a random God sent moment. Okay, so that
Man,
was my 27th, 26th birthday in Atlanta.
look at
I
this
was still
guy,
working
man.
in corporate America. I had literally had the busiest day. I did Sister Circle that morning, and Tracy Ellis Ross's people were in the studio. She wasn't there, but they were there doing some promo work or whatever. And I overheard them say that where she was having dinner that night. And it just so happened to be the same place where my friends had made reservations for a dinner in Atlanta. And it was at the West End. It was at the restaurant that circles around the top of the building.
Okay.
And literally, it's crazy. I had no idea she was there. We hopped out of the Uber and she hopped out of the car. And then she looked over at me and she was like, okay, Hot Top. I said, Tony? And then that's crazy because I didn't mean to say Tony. I meant to say Joan, but I said Tony because the first thing that came to mind was girlfriends. And she was
Yeah.
like, get over here, crazy. She was like, what are you celebrating? And I was like, it's my birthday. And she was like, oh my God, I want you to have, the best dinner. I'm going to take you up and make sure they take care of you. And she definitely made sure that they took care of us, took pictures with all of my friends and was just like, continue to do what you guys are doing. You guys' light is shining so bright. And it was literally over just like that. It was a
This
very
is
quick moment.
crazy.
But it was also in the beginning of my time in Atlanta where all of those sporadic things were happening. But it was like, okay, God, you're aligning me, you're putting me in place, or you're conditioning my mind to believe that not that I don't belong here, but there's so many things that are happening that the only thing that I can believe is that I do belong. So when you do start to believe that you belong, you start to act that way. And when you start acting like you belong, then you actually become a part. And then when you become a part, you bring everybody else on with you. So then you end up on Finesse Media Podcast.
There
And that's
you
how
go.
you do it. That's literally how we do it.
No,
But that
that's
was a
amazing.
random moment, but I would never forget it. Never. And it was the high top. She was like, I was the high
So
top.
this
And
was
I
a
was
real hot top, bro? Or this
that's
was
my
a
real hair. No,
this is
that
your
was my
real hair?
real hair.
Okay. So it wasn't a Steve Harvey hot top.
No, that was mine. And it's crazy because I changed my hair so much that literally my hair was different than that 3 days ago. The 3 days before I got that.
Yeah,
And
no
I was
lie.
like, you
Listen,
know
if you
what?
look at this
I
guy's
want to do
Instagram
something
page,
different.
no lie. If you look at your Instagram page, there was probably 7 photos I had to choose from, and they all had a different hairstyle. Yeah, no.
Literally.
Hey, the caption with this is so short too, so I really wanted to know the story behind this photo.
Yeah.
Could you just simply put like "What a great King Day" hashtag Tracy Ellis Ross, bro? This is a whole moment. Thank you for sharing. But
Yes.
listen, man, that's a good story. But listen, the last question, and I ask it.
Yes.
This is probably the legendary question for the backdrop of the Finesse Media podcast. Each and every week, Cam, I ask my finesser, which is you, that person that I say that's finessing the game. So thank you so much for taking the time for chatting with me, my guest co-host Marilyn tonight of the 360 Conversations podcast about your journey, and we're going to keep supporting it. So you're definitely someone that's finessing the game. Thank you for doing this podcast and rocking out with us on this episode. But who's that person for you? That's my question. Each and every week on the Finesse Media podcast, I ask my finesser, who's that person for you that's finessing the game?
Big homie, Tyler Perry.
Tyler
He has the
Perry.
sauce. He
Yeah.
has the sauce. He understands what it means to, if you don't want to give me a seat at the table, then I will continue to create the tables and the seats of my own. And that is how you finesse through, because when you don't have to depend on anybody, you create your own reality. So honestly, that's almost more so than finesse. He's creating magic. And that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to where my finesse is just like, how did you do that? Baby, I don't know. I
Yeah.
have no idea, but it
God,
happened.
but God, man, but God, and
But God.
and putting in that work and being consistent. I don't disagree, Chef Cam, with your choice of who's finessing the game. Tyler Perry is definitely finessing the game.
Yes.
I will say collectively, he would probably share that Earth sign. I know you're a Taurus. That's my
Yes.
Virgo brother. I'm a Virgo, but he's certainly an Earth sign, and you're an Earth sign as being a Taurus. I've done my research, man. So I know that you got your head down.
I appreciate that so
You
much.
stubborn as hell. So you gonna be successful by any means necessary, my dude. And I again have supported you and followed your career. So to
I
have you
appreciate
on
that so much.
rocking us out, on Black History Month, man, it's truly an honor, bro. And I'm going to continue to support. And I want my people to do that. So let people know how they can keep up with you and support you.
So right now, just follow me on social media. It's at Cooking with Cam over all social media platforms. That is Cooking with Cam with the C and a G. So I have to tell people because they'll do cook and without the G. But it's Cooking with Cam. And just look around. I will be on your TV screens a lot more often very soon. I have a project I can't really speak about right now, but the way God is moving, you'll be seeing a lot more of me.
That's what's
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, Kia. It was a pleasure to meet you as well, Marilyn. And I wish you the best on your podcast. And
Thank
if you ever
you.
need somebody to get on there and chat with you, just hit me up. I would love to be a part.
Gratitude.
I'll be glad to have you, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And I like the way that you are consistently. One thing that you talked about consistently is alignment, and that's what a lot of people don't understand because they get so stuck in what they're going through, right? And they don't realize that through is the transitional word you're going through, right? And when it's a blessing on the other side of through. You talked about the different moments and how you consistently stayed, you know what I'm saying, in the right realm, and everything came to you. So I'm glad you spoke on that because a lot of people feel like, oh, I got to get by this person and I have to get by that person. And it's a team of people making that person be that person. And those are the people that you need to connect with for the energy to flow. So I'm glad you consistently spoke on alignment because that is one thing, alignment and timing, being in the right place at the right time.
At the right time.
Because what if you decided to go somewhere else for your birthday that year? But you went with your friends and you met Tracy. She's going to remember that moment when you see her again.
And I remember that. And what it did for me, it increased my level of confidence that I didn't even say anything to her. We were all starstruck. She said something to me, which made me feel like I belong because most people are rushing to their cars. I'm not talking to these strangers. You know, this Atlanta, baby, anybody will rob you. You know, the water boys might rob you. So you can't just be talking to anybody. And so, you know, I really appreciate those moments. And also, too, you know, one thing, if I could leave with your guests, that I always say and I always tell people is whatever you can imagine is real. And when those things are real, you have to act on them because we miss 100% of the shots that we do not take. So if you can imagine it, if you can see it, if you can feel it, those things are real. You have to do the work. You have to be consistent and you have to fight for it. But you cannot allow yourself to be your own worst enemy and that self-doubt keep you from making those shots that you don't take.
Absolutely. I think he dropped jewels. He's chopping it up. Two-time champion winner of Chop on Food Network, man. But a good brother all the way around. HBCU alumni, Chicago native. This guy's going to continue to finesse the game. Y'all support him. He's already told you how you do it. And we have it down at the bottom just in case you forgot and you don't know how to spell. Yes. But, man, Camerron Dangerfield, chef, Mr. Dangerfield, thank you so much for joining the podcast. You got to come back.
I would definitely back. I have to tell you, you have the perfect like media voice. Like, you know how they have that thing in the back of the throat, like that just the way it sounds, like it's
the vibrato.
Like, yes, it's that vibrato. It just dead crescendo and crescendos at the perfect moments. Yeah,
he's talking music notes, man. Where's my cup? He's talking music notes. We're gonna get out of here, man. He's trying to get me into music. But chef, I love music, and I'll tell you, I appreciate the compliment, sir. You got to come back, spend some time with us. Of course, Marilyn, you got to come back and co-host Rock It Out with me doing this season 6.
I got you.
I feel like this the dream team. I feel like next time you bring me back, I got one request. I gotta have my girl Marilyn in here. I love the energy from UAPB. You guys have held it down, and you guys are amazing representations of yourselves, your institutions, and everything that y'all represent. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make sure I stay following you. So when you have your grand opening, if I'm not there the grand opening day, I'll be there really soon. I'm gonna make sure I come out and support.
And I'll make sure that y'all get invitations as well.
For sure. Hit me up, chef. Take it easy, chef, and it's too easy. Don't take it.
Sometimes.
Hey, they said they'll take it. They always got a rebuttal. Let me get you out of here, man. But you've been watching another episode of the Finesse Media Podcast. I'm your host, Ken Finesse Media, and I'll see you next week with something brand new. Peace.
States, you live in the 1%. There are 99% of the population right now that don't get to choose what they want to do. They don't get to choose to put on shoes. They don't get to choose to put on clean clothes. So whatever you do, you speak life into that. You speak big about that. When you in the CCAP, I'm in this big competition. I'm big Malachi, and that's how you walk in those shoes. That's how you create the life that you want to live. You got it? You got it.
This has been another edition of the Finesse Media Podcast. Join us again next week for the latest news from HBCUs. Special guest